There's no pressure here, Dick, don't
Nope.
worry.
Okay, good evening, everyone. It's the Town of Riverhead Industrial Development Agency meeting on April 5th, 2021. It is now 5:03, I believe. I'd like to call this meeting to order. And I think what I'd like first is to ask for a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
So moved.
I'll second.
All right, any discussion, any concerns regarding the agenda? Yes?
I could not prepare the minutes from last week's meeting in a timely fashion, so that will be a tabled
Okay.
consideration. That's the only change to the agenda.
Okay, so item 3 is tabled for today. Then we have, the next item on the agenda would be correspondence. Do we have any correspondence to
I'm
discuss?
sorry, I meant that to approve the agenda as amended without the minutes. That was my comment, sorry.
Okay.
I'll make a motion.
You would like to make a motion to do
Uh-huh.
so?
Yeah.
Okay,
Second.
all right. Any discussion? No? Then we vote?
Aye.
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 Sorry.
Then turning to correspondence.
None, sir.
No correspondence. Turning now to the treasurer's report.
Yes.
Bob, do you have
Yep.
a-
Yes. Just, So cash in the checking account, the balance in People's United Bank checking account as of March 31st, 2021 was $122,418.58. Investments balance at March 31st, 2021 was as follows: $45,566.49. Municipal money market account bearing interest with an annual rate of 0.2%. Revenues for the month of March 2021 include interest earnings of $19.50 and administrative fees charged in the amount of $5,500. Expenses paid for the month of March 2021 totaled $13,749.63. I have one quick question on this. The administrative fees charged in the amount of $5,500, what was that for? Is that a mistake? or-
No, it is,
Can't remember.
for services for Georgia Green
Ah,
yes.
and,
Okay.
and John Wesley Village.
Okay, great, thank you. So with that, we get a motion to approve the treasurer's report?
I'll make that motion.
Second, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that would bring us to the committee reports. Tonight, I guess, audit report, there is none. Governance committee, there is no report. And finance committee, there is no report.
Well, you run some meeting.
I beg your pardon, Tom?
You run some meeting.
Yep.
Boom, 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 boom.
Old business, any old business discussed tonight, Tracy?
No, sir.
Okay, that brings us to new business, and the consideration of the assignment and assumption Firehouse Resolution 2221. Dick, could you explain that to us?
Sure, we have correspondence from Bob Castaldi, who's the owner of the Wolf Properties Associates LP, which is the entity that owns the historic firehouse on 2nd Street in Riverhead. And for estate planning reasons, he's been advised to form an LLC, and he has formed one, Old Firehouse 1935 LLC, of which he is the sole managing member. And he's asked that we allow him to substitute that entity for the Wolf Properties entity. So we've drafted an assignment and assumption agreement, which basically says that the old entity will be subsumed by the new entity. He had given us a personal guarantee, so we're getting a new guarantee, not an amended guarantee, but a new guarantee that runs with the new entity, and acknowledging that the old guarantee is still in effect for the obligations of the old entity, because our agreements have a tail in them, which the old entity will be responsible should something have occurred earlier that we're not aware of. So that both guarantees will remain in effect. There's an agency fee for this type of request of $4,000, which is asked of him to pay, as well as the attorney's fees necessary to accomplish it. So the agency isn't out any money to provide this service to him. And then there's a certification because the public officers law requires that the applicant certify and swear to the truth of the statements on which you base your decision. So there's a certification, and that's the resolution.
Okay. Any discussion? Looks
I'm
pretty
not so he's here.
pretty straightforward, huh? Okay.
He's supposed to come, right?
No,
He doesn't, but we could just carry on.
we didn't,
Oh.
feel it was necessary for him to make a
I
presentation.
guess I just assumed he'd be here.
Normally we do,
Sorry, thanks.
but it was a simple transaction, so
A COVID environment dispensation.
Okay.
In that case then, would I have a motion to
Make a
approve
motion.
this?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Take care of that. And that brings us to the executive director's report. Do we have one
I'll
tonight?
try to be brief.
Okay.
This will be good.
So Island Water Park, it will be on the agenda as of today for the May meeting. They submitted their parking plan and traffic study. They expect a supplemental DEC permit in this week or next, and they should be prepared to make another presentation during the May meeting. 48 Cromer Avenue has moved forward, and they're going to have a public hearing for the planning board, site plan. And they will also be submitting an updated application, and I'm suspect they're gonna be on the May meeting as well for a presentation. Administratively, the Paris was submitted timely, the ST-62, which is a state sales tax reporting form, if you've recaptured, actually, we have to do it every year, that was submitted on time. I'm now in cleanup mode from everything that's come in. So now it's ministerial work and compiling the minutes and filing everything properly, et cetera. And then we'll have a governance committee for reviewing anything that was a red flag in the projects from the reporting. You should be aware that we had a press conference and launched the RFQ for the TOD. That's request for qualifications for transit-oriented development. It was well attended and well received. The next day, Dawn's office, which is the designated response location, received numerous inquiries. We have had numerous conference calls and meetings about the vetting process, and we'll be having a pre-submission Zoom meeting for any interested party on this Friday. The submission deadline for the RFQ will be May 14th, so it's a very quick turnaround time. And a review committee will narrow down submissions to 3 great project proposals, and then the process is to open it up to other stakeholders and presentations to the town board. I am registered this month for the New York State Economic Development Council Spring Academy, which will be virtual on April 13th. And I was notified that the Long Island Business Development Council is currently on for the Montauk Conference in September, barring any pandemic issues. And that is my report, Chairman.
Okay, September that is for the...
That is correct.
Okay, okay. Well, that's great. It's nice to have 2 projects on too, considering that things were a little tight there for a while, so that would be good potentially. The only thing I would add in general observation is that I'd like to note to members before it closes that you've probably seen the press on this North Atlantic Rail project. Have you seen that? Anyone here, remember seeing the North Atlantic Rail project?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's a really interesting thing that we should just put in mind, because that project is a 3-phase project. I realize it's an early stage conceptual thing that's being proposed, but it's being done in the context of the President Biden's infrastructure initiative, which I realize is a big discussion going on in Washington as to how that it will evolve and so forth. But on the presumption that there will be some agreed upon amount of money for infrastructure to be distributed by Washington in that context, This particular project focuses on the redevelopment of rail in 7 states, with New York being one of the key ones. And the elements there involve 3 phases. The first phase being the local rail requirements of all the member states of the 7 states, and culminating in phase 3, which would be the quote-unquote somewhat visionary view, which is to build a high-speed rail between Penn Station in New York and Boston, routing through, of all places, Ronkonkoma, Stony Brook, New Haven, Hartford, Providence, and then Boston. What interests me most about this project is that the phase 1 element of the project is for an immediate application of these funds to the development of rail priorities in the state of New York. And in this project, one of those priorities is the electrification of rail to Riverhead. And I think it's worth taking a look at that if you see anything more on it, because I do think this could be an important thing for us to lobby for, regardless of what comes out. So, I know there's some people trying to promote this, and who knows, maybe we can get them around, tell us a bit more about the project, or maybe we'll get it to other sources in the town shortly. And that's my 5 cents for today. Otherwise, I think there being nothing else, I move that we adjourn the meeting. Do I have a second to that? All in favor? Aye. Did we set the record?
I don't know.
Oh,
I don't think so.
No?